Hello everyone, welcome to Flying in Cerulean. Today we're going to focus on the use of the autopilot during climb. And this is what we'll be flying today, a Diamond DA40 NG. And we are sitting on runway 6 in Roanoke, Virginia, which is in the heart of the Blue Ridge. We have some weather coming in from the northwest, and we are using live weather and live time for this flight. I just wanted to give you an idea of our situation. Inside the airplane, let's go over a few things first. At the top you see the white buttons, those are the lights, and we are all set for takeoff lights. Right underneath that you see the primary flight display, the PFD. And from the top right corner, you'll see that there's the communications radio number 1, then the communications radio number 2. Below that is the altitude strip. Right now it's reading 1130 or so, 1130, with the known airport elevation at 1175. So we're close, we're within the accepted 60-foot error range. On the right of the altitude tape is the vertical speed indicator tape. To the left of that we have our attitude indicator. To the left of that we have our speed strip, and you'll see that VY is bugged at about 72 for this aircraft. Under that you see our heading indicator, which is right now bugged at 058 degrees. That's runway heading. There's an inset map. On the right you see the other screen, that's the multifunction display, and we won't be using that a lot for this climb out. The engine instruments on the left are important. In this airplane, which is a FADEC airplane engine, that's a full authority digital engine controls, which means that, among other things, our throttle is the main controller, and it controls not only power but also propeller and mixture, so it makes power management a lot simpler. Below the load, which is how we measure the power in this engine, and the RPMs right below it. Below that you see the usual oil pressure, oil temperature, fuel temperature, fuel quantity readings. To the right of that is a moving map. And I think that's all we need to go over. There is the flap setting, and right now it's full up, and we will move it one down to our usual takeoff position. All right. So anyway, we are sitting on the runway. At this point we've gotten all of our clearances, and we are ready to roll. We're going to do two things. We're going to do a climb out by hand to our planned altitude of 5,500 feet. And we are going to then do the same flight again using the autopilot, so you can see the difference. And here we go. Full power. Rotation is usually around 60, though this is the summer, it's hot. Airspeed's alive, we have rotation. And the density altitude is a little higher than the reported altitude, so we usually wait a little bit longer to lift it off the ground. So you can see on the speed strip that our speed is below the VY, so we can bring the nose down, speed up a little bit, and capture VY, and there it is right there. We are right there at VY, and it is taking this attitude to accomplish VY. If you're flying VFR, you get a feel for where the nose and the top of the dashboard is compared to your sight picture, comparing it to the horizon and the mountains. You can also see we're a little left of our course right now, so we can get back on course. There we are at 0.56, 0. We've got some winds coming at us, kind of moving us off the runway. We are now again a little slow, so let's bring the nose down just a little bit. So we're fussing. So somewhere along the line here, tower will flip us over to departure. Say it's happening right now. Tower says Diamond 572 Romeo Papa, contact departure on 126.9. And then we reply the same thing. I already have it dialed in, so we just simply have to swap frequencies. And then we report to the departure frequency, who we are and where we are. Departure, this is Diamond 572 Romeo Papa, 3100 climbing 5500. And then they say Diamond 572 Romeo Papa, radar contact, continue on present heading, and so we do. So during that time, we continue to pay attention to our heading and our speed. Now they give us another instruction. Diamond 572 Romeo Papa, turn right, heading 150. And we reply, right turn heading 150, 572 Romeo Papa. Okay, so we start a right turn. Try to maintain BY. All the way to heading 150, which is coming up here. A little sharp turn. I flew past it a little bit. And look at my speed. Okay, let's speed up again. Let's get back to heading 150. And let's bug 150 just so it makes it easier for us to do it. So we're still climbing out to 5,500, a typical VFR altitude. And we're already seeing clouds. So we're having some, difficulty at this altitude. But we can see a little clear space up ahead. We still haven't lost our VFR yet. So we're going to continue our climb and hope that we are in clear skies at that altitude. And we have gone much faster than VY, so let's get back to our VY as we continue our climb out. And 5,500 is coming here, so now we can start leveling off. And we could reduce power to 9%. Let's actually reduce power all the way down to 8. Okay, well, we're basically there. That was a climb out flying by hand in these weather conditions from a Class Charlie airport, which can get busy with frequencies and instructions and like that. Okay, now let's repeat the same flight using the autopilot. Okay, so here we are back at runway 6 Roanoke. We again have been cleared for takeoff, but let's reset some of our parameters here. We're dialing in our desired altitude of 5,500. We still have the current altimeter setting. By the way, we can be listening to ATIS right now.
Roanoke Regional Woodrum Field Information Uniform 1420 Zulu Special. Wind calm. Visibility 9 miles. Sky conditions. View at 2,600. View at 11,500. Temperature 24. Deploy 20. Altimeter 3003. Arriving runway 06. Departing runway 06. Advise on initial contact. You have information uniform.
Okay, there we go. Information uniform. We've got our proper altimeter setting in place. Our altitude reads 1,130, which is within 60 feet of the known elevation at this position. And we have our planned altitude at 5,500, and we have, let's bug runway heading, which is 0.58. Let's dial it into 0.58. There we go. Okay, and we have our, let's bring down one set of flaps to takeoff flaps. Okay. All right, very good. So we're cleared for takeoff, and let's do it. Okay. So our airspeed's alive, our engine instruments are in green. We're approaching our rotation speed. Here we go, rotation. And let's maintain runway heading. And let's sense a little wind coming from my left, pushing me to the right. And we are climbing out. We are almost exactly at VY, so that's all good. I have to give it a little bit more left rudder to stay in my proper direction. Speed up a little bit. Get VY. There it is. Okay, so we're more or less proper heading. And at 500 feet above the airport elevation, we are allowed to engage our autopilot. Here we are at 1,800 feet. It's plenty. Let's press the AP button to engage the autopilot. Let's press the heading button to ask the autopilot to maintain our bugged heading. And the FLC button, that's flight level change, but really I think of it as indicated airspeed. And it'll capture whatever airspeed we have going on at the moment of the time that we press that FLC button. And you can see that our speed at that time was 68, 69, which is a little slower than VY. So we'll press the nose down button to bring the nose down and therefore speed up. And see what happens. See, the bug is going toward VY. And now the autopilot will do that for us. It'll bring the nose down a little bit. It'll gradually speed up to VY and hold that. Beautiful. Meanwhile, you notice that the is going up. You notice that our vertical speed is 750, which is beautiful. But it's time to reduce our load. The pilot operating handbook wants after 5 minutes or within 5 minutes of takeoff to reduce the load at least to 92. So there it is at 91. Fine. And with that, a little less power, but our vertical speed is 600. That's still a very good climb. And the beauty of this now is that we are hands-free, and we're just simply monitoring that we are doing all the right things. Here's another we have time to review our actual written checklists, which would include things like raising our flaps, which I had not done. So let's raise our flaps, which is again one of the advantages of using the autopilot, is that your hands and your mind are free to do other tasks. We would still have tower telling us to switch over to departure frequency. Departure frequency would still be giving us instructions. First identifying that we're radar contact, then maybe giving us a heading and an altitude, and we would be doing all those changes. But now it is so much simpler because we're simply flying the autopilot. We're making changes in the heading by turning a knob. So our instruction now is to say continue climbing to 55 feet, and that is what we're doing. We are simply monitoring everything. We're at VY. We are climbing at 800 feet per minute. We are at a good power setting, which we can now reduce even further. So don't need to reduce it, but we've got a good climb up. The whole idea with reducing power is to keep our engine temperatures down. You see the oil temperature has a yellow flag, means it's getting pretty close to overheating. So we simply turn our power setting down and let that cool off a little. It'll cool off here in a minute. We are at 4,700 feet. Climbing beautifully. And by the way, since we are already at 4,800 feet, we're already above the elevation of mountains. We can reduce our power even a little further to let the engine cool down faster. And let's go down to a load of 75. All these things we have time to think through because we're on autopilot. We have time to notice things like that and make our proper adjustments. You can see on our moving map that we are getting closer and closer to that outer magenta line, which is Roanoke's airspace. At that point, they would give us our final instructions that set us free to resume our own VFR frequencies and navigation. And we are pretty close to that. And that's good because we're getting pretty close to the top of our... this would be a good place for us to settle and then to navigate on our own accord. Now we're at 5,500 feet, and you see the autopilot is capturing that altitude beautifully. And now that our nose is down, the autopilot has done all of that. We see our airspeed climbing just as it should. We're below the clouds. We're supposed to be 500 feet below clouds, and we are. So this is great. We're flying VFR in some sketchy weather in mountainous terrain. So far so good. And now we are at 109 knots, 110. We are at a decent load. We'll probably keep our power, our engine power at 75. And there's no reason why we need to adjust that. We can actually, you see our oil temperature is now down where we want it, and engine instruments are all in the green. So things are looking good. Notice on the moving map, we are now at the outside of the Roanoke airspace. At this time, they've given us our freedom to monitor our own frequencies and to do our own navigation. And since we're going to be heading southeast, that's an example, we will make our own right turn using the heading knob to 150, and there is 150, and there is our turn. The other cool thing about being hands-off is that you can enjoy the terrain. You can enjoy the beauty of being up in the air in this weather safely without having the constant moment-to-moment attention to heading and altitude and everything else. We're also free to be a little safer, keeping a good eyeball on our engine instruments and everything else. We're flying by autopilot. There's a lot of good to that. I have more than bad. Some people prefer the hands-on of hand flying and the continuous fuss, but I prefer the safety and the beauty. So here's some clouds coming up ahead of us, and there's some open skies to the right, so I am going to turn right and stay away from those clouds. Keep good contact with the ground, eye contact with the ground, not physical contact with the ground. There we go. How about that? Okay, well that's it. The use of the autopilot during climb and the initial phases of cruise. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you found some of that useful. If you did, please like and subscribe and all that. And we'll see you next time at our next demo. Peace out.